Let's make this chain using the textured daisy impression die and pancake die 1631. To make the flower links, start with full hard 16 gauge silver. Insert your silver into the pancake die, leaving a little bit more room than I did, and cut a blank. Here I've cut it, and I'm going to show you how to remove it from the pancake die. I pulled off the extra, and then if it gets stuck a little bit, hold the pancake die in your hand and strike the back of the pancake die with a rawhide mallet. Because this pancake die is radially symmetrical, you can insert the cut blank back into the pancake die with the tab in a different location. Use your fingers to align the blank with the pancake die and then press it again to cut off that little tab. It saves you some sawing. You can see the tab pops off and you'll just remove the blank from the pancake die. Next, you want to anneal your silver. You'll do this a couple times when pressing the impression die. After annealing, place the blank centered on top of the daisy impression die. You can measure it, but I'm just eyeballing it. For these links, we are pressing solid, so we are not using any urethane. Center your work and press it. You can see here, I didn't perfectly center my design, but that's okay. We're going to trim it off later anyway. Press and rotate a number of times until you get as much of the detail as you can. You can see I've picked up a lot of the detail, but not in the center. So let's go ahead and anneal it again and press it a few more times. Continue to press and rotate until you get all the detail. And this is the finished stamping. If you centered it well, you could leave it like this, but I like the look of the daisy when it's cut out. Use a 3/0 or 2/0 saw blade to saw around the outside perimeter of the impression itself. Make sure your blade is lubricated and that you're taking long, smooth strokes. You can see the marks left from the saw blade. We want to remove those. You can use files. I prefer to use these snap-on sanding discs. I believe it's a plastic back Moore's sanding disc, and I like to have it with the abrasive facing down toward the handpiece. I find it's just easier for me to see what I'm doing. Use whatever methods you like to remove all of the saw marks and sand and finish all of the edges as desired. Make sure your metal is clean and get ready to solder. To ensure the chain hangs nicely, we're going to solder rings in this orientation. This prevents the links from tipping forward. Use hard solder to attach each of the rings to the links. In this case, I placed a pallion of solder beneath the pedal on the left and the jump ring. You'll see that flow in a second. And I'm heating the entire piece, focusing mostly on the thicker silver of the flower. You want to heat slowly and evenly, but get in there fairly quick. You don't want oxides to build up. Make sure you're using flux. And heat the flower and the ring evenly until the solder flows. There it goes. To show you a different way to solder, I am using my soldering pick and a pallion of hard solder. I'm picking the solder up with the pick and I'm placing it on the other side. So use whichever soldering method you're more comfortable, whatever works best for you. Make sure that the 3 petals between the 2 jump rings on each link are facing the same direction when you connect the links with a jump ring. This is just going to make the chain hang evenly and you don't have to worry about the pieces flipping. I'm using 16 gauge oval jump rings to connect the links. You could use smaller links, you could use round links. It doesn't really matter, whatever you think looks best. You'll also want to solder the links closed after you're finished connecting all of your components. I like to use oval links when connecting pieces like this. I find that the oblong shape rests a little bit nicer on the body than round jump rings of about the same size. Make sure the daisies are all attached in the same direction with 3 petals toward the top and 4 petals toward the bottom to make them balance evenly. It will also give a natural curve to the chain itself. Here is the chain linked together. Next, you can add any sort of chain that you'd like to make a necklace. I applied a liver of sulfur patina and attached a heavy oval cable chain to give it the same weight as the jump rings that connect the links. Now that you've got the basics, experiment with different ways to dress up the center of the daisies.